Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, citizens of Gotham. This is The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast focusing on all things The Dark Knight and the DC Universe. If you'd like to connect with the show, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads at tfrbatpod. And if you have thoughts, questions, comments, or even suggestions for future episodes of the show, just shoot us an email. You can send those to tfrbatpod@gmail.com. My name is Eric Carter, and I am your host, and I am joined once again by my co-host, Joe Fornerato. Joe, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas, Eric. Welcome back. It's nice to be back. And we're talking about Superman again a little bit, but I'm looking forward to the Christmas talk as well.
Yes, so yeah, advertise, don't throw people off because it's the when they're clicking on the podcast episode, they're going to think we're talking about one thing. You've thrown them off already, Joe.
I get really thrown off with the intros. I am not, it is my weak point. I admit it. I hate it. And I never know how to start this. You do an awesome job with the intro and you put all the pressure on that. And then I blank when it's like, hey, Joe, how you doing?
Fair enough. Well,
Full
yes,
full peek behind my insecurities, everybody. There you go.
yes, we are here to talk about Shazam today as a celebration for our Christmas episode, and we're going to get into that because I don't know if there's an argument over Shazam as a Christmas movie, but we'll talk about it when we get there. But we do have a few things to get to before we get there. We've got a little Christmas gift that James Gunn has given us a little early here. But before we get there, we absolutely need to thank our partner sponsor in Organic Price Books. Of course, you guys have heard me talk about Organic Price Books. They are a small business that brings the savings to you when it comes to graphic novels, trade paperbacks, hardcovers, omnibus, absolutes, anything you're looking for from the major companies like DC and Marvel, but also from independents, from your Boom Studios, Dynamite, IDW, Dark Horse. They've got it all. So make sure you go to the link in the description of this podcast, use that link and go use our promo codes. The first is TFRBatPod to save $2 off of any order. And the second, TFRBatPod, ship it together to save 5% off of any order of three or more books. But Joe, as I was mentioning before, we got a little surprise. We got a little present. We knew it was coming soon, but earlier this week, as we're recording, James Gunn kind of let the cat out of the bag that we were getting a Superman trailer. Before we get to the teaser trailer that we got, he gave us a poster. This week we got kind of a motion poster, which stirred all kinds of debate about the music that was attached to the poster. And then he gave us a teaser as we're recording this last night, a teaser to the teaser.
Mhm.
So what do you think of all this teasing we're getting for this movie so far?
It's just promotion. And the teaser for the teaser has kind of become a thing with big releases where they're really ramping up the promotions, and
How
I'm
do you
okay with it.
Okay, I was going to ask, how do you feel about the teaser to the teaser?
It doesn't bother me. It's just extra stuff, Like I'm not going to complain about getting extra stuff. Is it weird that like they're teasing the teaser? Well, I mean, I don't know. In today's world, I mean, we literally get countdowns to the teaser as we click on it. Like everything is about build up. And when you're promoting a big blockbuster like this, I think the more build up you do, the better, probably. Um, was talking with you. I said, I remember getting these with Justice League back in 2017, where they did literal teasers every day. We were getting a different teaser with a different
Mhm.
character. So in this case, we got one teaser. The poster being released is pretty normal. I think that's a good way to get people amped up for the first teaser.
And
I
it's a
liked it.
beautiful poster.
It is, and I liked that it was a motion poster with the score, almost kind of like how they did the costume test with the Batman, where we got the first taste of the score for that. We just got a
I forgot
poster
about that.
here. Yeah, we just got a poster here instead. Um, Poster was great. You know, uh, yeah, we got into not really a debate, but more discussion about the music.
Oh no, no, no. I'm not talking about necessarily us, just the
Oh,
debate
okay.
on
Yeah.
across
There's
across the
listen,
world and the web.
a Superman. trailer is going to bring debate galore, good and bad. There's still some good out there. But it's unfortunately it comes with the territory nowadays with any big release on the internet. You know, the internet has voices for everybody, and that can be good and bad.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm with you. I will say I don't know about the teaser to the teaser thing because I'm feeling like what we got yesterday is traditionally what I think of when you say teaser trailer because it
You mean what we
harkened
got on
more.
the Monday, the teaser to the teaser that you were talking?
Yeah, was that Monday?
Yeah, I think it was Monday.
Oh, I can't remember. Sorry, I can't remember time frames.
Yeah.
Anyway, the short clip.
Mhm.
Traditionally, that's what I think of when you say teaser. So I think trailers have evolved so much where it's just like now a teaser trailer is a full blown 2 minute trailer.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's like a happy medium there too, because I understand what you're saying. I feel like an old traditional teaser, honestly, and I hate to bring up this comparison because that's not my intention, but like the Man of Steel teaser
that's
was a
exactly what I
teaser.
was thinking. Yeah.
There was like literally two clips in that,
Hmm.
maybe three, if I remember correctly, or The Dark Knight, where it literally shows nothing, it's just a voiceover. Those
Well,
are teasers.
that's what the Man of Steel one was because you had the Jor-El voiceover
Hmm.
and you had the sweeping farm landscapes
You
with the
had the farm
kid.
landscape, which ironically had the final shot of the movie, and then or one of the final shots of the movie. But the boat is what was really the main part of the trailer, and nobody knew what it was for when you first see the boat.
Exactly. So that's what I traditionally think of as a teaser. So
Hmm.
now they've evolved into where a teaser trailer is a full two
Yeah,
minute
that
trailer
even
for the
had
movie.
placeholder music. It had Lord of the Rings music.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's definitely evolved. Especially like thinking of the Dark Knight with the way the teaser was, where there's literally no footage, it's just the logo and just voices over it.
for sure.
So yeah, I feel like now the word teaser is plotless trailer, where like we have the teaser which has no plot lined up, and then the trailer itself is called like the plot trailer, where they start to give you pieces of what or the story trailer, I think they call it.
Yeah, for sure. And so we did get the trailer officially today as we're recording this, just Thursday, December 19th. So the I thought this was really fun because I know you're not a big YouTube person. But like this morning, I saw late yesterday evening as I was checking on YouTube, there was an official Superman YouTube channel, and they had like a subscribe to for
Hmm.
updates on the teaser trailer. So I subscribed, and this morning when I woke up, it had a timer on it.
Yeah,
So when I opened YouTube, it had a message, it had a timer, it said watch the Superman trailer, and it was supposed to come out at 9 a.m. Eastern.
came out at 8:56.
Yeah, it was several minutes early.
Yeah,
So when I logged on and there was a timer, I looked at the time and I was like, that's early. That's not 9." But I thought that was there was like a build up to this trailer releasing. It
yeah.
wasn't just like bam, it's online. Go watch the Superman trailer.
Hmm.
There was a little bit of a build up to it, which I thought was neat. I feel like they're making this feel like an event. And I don't know
It's
how what you
I
think about that, but it feels
I
that way.
I agree, and I guess I staggered a little bit because the last time we had this discussion was for The Flash. I feel like that was when we talked a lot about The Flash being an event film. They were really building that up, and it scares me a little bit that that's the last one that did it. But I'm not trying to compare this to The Flash, but like you're right, it has that feel to it. And listen, say what you want about The Flash. The excitement before that movie came out was big for us anyway, at least.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I loved all that promotion. So with this, it has definitely a more of a positive feel because it's the beginning of something, and everyone is just ready for another Superman movie. I mean, well, I couldn't say everybody, but good or bad, people are interested.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think it has a special feel to it where this is going to reach further than just the nerd culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into the trailer, the teaser trailer itself. So of course we get views of super. We start the trailer in a fashion that I didn't expect, with Superman like crashing into the snow and the ice, and he's just kind of down and out. So obviously he's been in a big fight. But we go from him just bloody in the snow. He does the whistle early on in the trailer. We get crypto. We get shots of the Daily Planet. We get Lois Lane. We get a lot more shots of characters in the movie than I expected, because we
Hmm.
see Guy Gardner, we see him use his Green Lantern ring. We see Mr. Terrific. We see Hawk Girl. We see Metamorpho. So I mean, there's a lot really quickly
I don't
in
think
the
I ever caught
teaser.
Metamorpho.
Yeah, he's the one with the weird designs on his face
Oh,
and stuff.
I totally, yeah, okay. Didn't even occur
Yeah.
to me. I got you.
Um, and I noticed we seem to there's a I don't know who he is. I'm assuming maybe Ultraman, but there's a guy with a mask and a big U on his chest that Superman is fighting. He fights him in the baseball stadium in the
Yeah.
teaser.
So it seems like, and I think this is smart when you do a teaser, all the stuff that was revealed in the set photos, put all that stuff in the teaser.
Mhm.
And it seems like that's what they did, other than Metamorpho, because you couldn't get a set photo of him for obvious reasons, because I would assume he's mostly CG. I don't remember.
He looked pretty practical from the
So if
teaser.
that's the case, for whatever reason, we never got like good shots of him on the set photos. Um, Ultraman or whoever that character is, there's been a lot of speculation. Ultraman with the U, they call him something else if I remember right. I don't remember what exactly his name was, if they gave him a name, but get all that stuff out of the way. Everything we already know is in the movie. Show us official shots of everybody, but don't give us too much. Give us just little quick shots. And I think that was smart. I'm with you. I didn't expect it to start the way it did, starting in such a dire, moment for Superman. Uh,
With his wheezing like
yeah.
over the sound in the trailer. Like you can, it's just
Yep.
loud wheezing.
So between that, seeing some cool action shots, it looks like we got the shot from the original costume reveal. And I'm very curious. Again, we try to dissect these things too much sometimes, but I feel like the kaiju battle is like the opening scene.
I saw a lot of speculation today that everything in this teaser trailer is from the first act.
The only thing that's interesting to me is like him hugging Lois like that before it looks like he's going off to battle to fight that weird thing in the sky from the costume test or the costume reveal. I feel like that has to be later in the movie because you'd think we would have an investment in the two characters before that moment.
Very,
Um,
very well could be, but I could see everything else being very first act of the movie.
yeah, I'm
Um,
curious where like the Guy Gardner and the Mr. Terrific stuff are going to land in the movie. And again,
mhm.
I try not to speculate too much of that stuff. I'm just thinking about it now as we're talking about it. But I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised that it does show stakes.
Yep.
It's showing, a Superman that is having a hell of a fight ahead of him or behind him, even.
Well, I'll tell you, there's one moment in the teaser that I really, really love. I don't know what country this is in, or what kind of conflict is going on, but there's people running everywhere. It looks like there's a lot of conflict, and there's this little boy.
Yeah.
The little boy has strung together this pole, and he's got a hand-drawn Superman flag on top of it.
Hmm.
And he raises this flag, and you can see him like holding on and just hoping and praying that his hero will come. And you hear him say Superman.
Hmm.
And I don't know, just something about that without any context of knowing what's going on. I really like that moment. Like we
Like the
don't even
world
see
knows
Superman.
Superman's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love that. And it gives you a real sense of hope. And I like that a lot. And of course, I mean, I think it goes without saying, like this the part that stole the whole teaser trailer was crypto.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen a tiny, tiny bit of the discourse online. Well, he's not the right breed of dog or
I
whatever.
yeah, to
Like
me
what?
that's so stupid. Like I don't know.
What?
Like it's such a weird thing to complain about to me. Like
I think he's adorable.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've seen him portrayed very differently throughout the years. So
Hmm.
I never had a, oh, crypto has to be this size or this breed. It's like he's a white dog. That's really all I
Yeah.
needed.
But what's interesting, and I don't know if you noticed this at all, but the whistle that he uses to summon crypto,
Mhm.
of course you hear it clearly there, but you hear it at least twice more in the background of the teaser.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So there's a moment right before the teaser closes when the music is swelling that you hear it in the
Hmm.
background. So I'm wondering what they're doing with that. But again, like you said, we dissect these things to death.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the music since I just brought that up?
So I'm the music at face value, I really like it. I really
Mhm.
do. I'm torn on the fact that it is a take on the Williams score. Not because I have anything against the Williams score. I just feel like part of me thinks, is it a cop out to gain the nostalgic feels for people instead of creating something original? Or is this original enough where I'm okay with it? Because it's a take on it. I can't decide. Me personally, I like the music in the trailer. I like this teaser music better, I think.
Mhm.
Um, because I think that one had notes of everything. But I also don't care that much to be mad about it. Like, I get it. People love that John Williams score, and I love the John Williams score. I just associate it with the Christopher Reeve movies, not Superman in general. And maybe that's sacrilege because I think I would probably say close to 90% of the world just associates it with Superman. But I think 90% of
Yeah.
the world associates Christopher Reeve with Superman. So it kind of goes hand in hand. And I think that's the biggest issue we've ever had with Superman is people associate Christopher Reeve more with Superman than anything else. So I think it's probably a smart and safe choice
Yeah.
to have that score. And
I'm
I'm
very much
okay with it because this needs to be a positive. We went the risky route, and I feel like we have to go the safe route now.
Yeah, I'm very much in the camp of I love the Hans Zimmer score. I
Yeah.
love, the what are you doing when you're not saving the world? That piece of
Hmm.
music is beautiful. But I am very much in the camp of that even though we've been on record that I didn't love Superman until Man of Steel,
Yeah.
that music I know. I mean that I'm in that camp. That's Superman.
Yeah.
I've
Sometimes we
heard
have to
it.
accept that we're not the majority
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Yeah, but I do love that it's not just I mean, you didn't start the trailer with "Purr, purr, 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 purr."
Exactly. They're doing it
So
differently. They're doing their own thing.
yeah, and one thing I noticed because there's been some interviews where James Gunn has mentioned that Top Gun Maverick was an influence
Hmm.
on this movie. The screaming 80s electric guitar riff
Oh yeah.
on the John Williams theme, I
Hmm.
mean, sounds Top Gun
Yeah.
through this trailer.
Hmm.
And then it kind of melds into a very operatic version of it at the end of the trailer.
Hmm.
But it's even though it's clearly Williams, it has its own sound.
Yes.
And I do
And
appreciate that.
like we were discussing too, and not to nerd out too much with it or to be the Snyder apologist that I am. And when I say Snyder, I mean like universally those movies in general, everybody involved.
Mhm.
To nerd out with that a little bit, I went on a tangent the other day because when we heard the teaser and heard the score for the teaser, I said I hear more Zimmer than I do Williams. And you were like, no, I definitely hear Williams. And you said your wife heard Williams, and other people were saying the same thing. And then I go online and I see other people are saying they hear Zimmer too. So I'm like, okay, what's the deal with that? How is that possible? So
Yeah,
I went and I'm a music guy. I'm not a genius when it comes to music, but I know enough about the notes and how to read music and stuff like that. So I went on a tangent and I found an article about the Zimmer score when it was released. And literally, the Zimmer score uses the exact same notes as the Williams score, just arranged differently.
sure.
And I think that's fascinating because I don't think people gave Zimmer enough credit for doing something like that. And I like that in its at its core, the Williams score has always been there. Zimmer just made it a little drastic, differently so it didn't sound note for note the Williams score, but he still used the same notes just in different or not even different order, just a different sound. So
Hmm.
it like he hid it in there. But when you arrange it just a little differently here, it can sound more like the Zimmer score than the Williams score. And I think stuff like that is really cool. I like stuff like that. And it's completely irrelevant, but I also think it's nice that someone that likes the Zimmer score can say, "Oh, you know what? I kind of hear the Zimmer score in there." And I think that's a fun way to kind of try to appease everybody. Not
Yeah,
that I'm saying that should be a priority, but again, we tried different, and I loved the different take on Superman that Snyder did. But I'm trying to accept or move on and accept the fact that we need a pleaser. We need a crowd pleaser, and we need something that everyone is going to just go with. And I think it's okay to accept that at this point, the Williams score is what people relate to more. Um, and nobody's taking away our Snyder movies. We still have them. We can still watch them. And I'm just done getting old and bitter, and I want to just enjoy stuff now. And we're getting a new Superman movie. That's all I want to focus on is the new Superman movie. And I know that's contradicting because I just sat here and talked about the Snyder stuff, but I wanted to get it out of the way because I want to just kind of move on and get into this stuff. And I'm looking forward to again, I think this movie is I was worried this trailer was going to go out of its way to be anti-dark or anti-Snyder, for lack of a better term. And it didn't. There were no winks at the camera. There was no smiling Superman just for the sake of seeing him smile. No, this was a good trailer. It was a good teaser that showed the adversity. I mean, you see Superman get hit in the head with a can from a citizen. Like this is
yeah.
not going out of its way to be the Christopher Reeve Superman, and I'm happy for that. This is still a modern take on Superman, and that's what I'm most thankful for coming out of this trailer.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. I do want to, before we move on to what we're here to talk about today, I do want to talk about the suit really quickly,
Mhm.
because there's been so much uh, conversation all over the place about the suit, and I'll admit it is not my favorite design for a Superman suit. Even after seeing it in action, I was very much looking forward to seeing it in action in a
Mhm.
trailer to get a little more of a feel for it. I will say I like it much better seeing it in action than I did in the leak photos and the set
Yeah.
photos and things like that. It's still not my favorite, but I appreciate the vibrancy and the colors on the suit. I appreciate that we see the wear and tear. You don't always see that with
Mhm.
Superman suits, but you see that degradation in the movie. Um, but it's still I don't know. That's all I can say about it. It's a serviceable Superman suit, but as of right now, it's not my favorite.
Yeah, it's weird because I told you after we watched Shazam the other night, I the Shazam suit is photographed a lot during the daytime in relation to, the BVS suit and the Superman suit. We didn't see a lot of it in bright day or,
Yeah,
colorful scenes. The Shazam suit though, I think is so the texture of it. I'm not talking I know there was a lot of criticism about the padding of the suit for Levi and all this, but there's something about the texture of the new Superman suit that to me just doesn't look as good as is it Michael Wilkinson was the costume designer
I think so. Yeah,
of all of the DC movies? I mean, he just brought this look to it that really just photographed so beautifully, but they might just be going for something different with this movie as they wanted it to make it look more homemade. and I think it does do that if that's what they're going for. And I
Mhm,
don't have a problem with the color. I think the colors, I even like the S. Like I like the design of the suit. It just thick. You could tell it's thick
mhm.
and it doesn't, have that like perfect texture that I feel like every costume in the DC, like the superhero costumes in the old DC universe had. But again, that's not a deal breaker for me. Like they're going for something different here. I like the colors, I like the logo, I like all that stuff. It's definitely photographed better in the movie than it was on set.
Mhm.
And I'm willing to just go with it and see if there's a story reason behind it or what have you. And maybe it's something as simple as, listen, it was more comfortable for the actor. They wanted to make it more comfortable for him, and it looked fine enough. I don't know.
Apparently, that is not the case because Corn
Oh, he
Sweat
said it's
has
not.
he's been on record saying it looks much cooler than it feels. So
That's
he
interesting. Okay.
yeah. But Gunn has said that he did not want this Superman to have the sculpted, padded, muscular look to the
Mhm.
suit. He wanted the suit to look like a uniform.
And it does.
It
It
does.
it absolutely does, and I think that's accomplished. Again, it's a take. Like all these things that are done are takes. They're specific reasons that the director has a vision for, and it's just different than what I would have preferred. But again, it doesn't have to be everything I want. I'm willing to go with it. I'm willing to like the look of the suit because I do. I actually really like the look of it as far as the design and the colors. Even the red trunks, because I'm not a trunk guy. I do think the red makes the suit pop more. It's just a divider. Like it breaks up the blue color. And I think, especially with the bright blue, I don't think it would have looked good at all if there was nothing to break up all that bright blue. I think the red is necessary.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's not my favorite, but I'm warming up to it a lot more. I
Hmm.
like it a lot more than I did when they first revealed it.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's a enough on the teaser. We're both psyched, as you can probably tell. We're getting another Superman movie. So July 11th, we are all in on Superman. But Joe, let's get to something Christmassy. Let's get to what we're here to talk about today. And of course, that is the 2019 film Shazam. All right. So, Shazam was released April 5th, 2019, directed by David F. Sandberg, produced by now CEO and co-president of DC Studios Peter Safran, starring Zachary Levi, Mark Strong, Asher Angel, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Jaimin Hansu. Um, Joe, just to begin with, of course, I mean this movie is 5 years old, so that's one of the part of the reason we're celebrating it this year. But of course, it was released during the most cheerful and wonderful, spirited time of the year for a Christmas film, early April.
That's what they do. That's what we do. We release these movies right before the biggest Marvel movie ever, or right after? Was it right after the biggest Marvel movie?
It was jammed between, wasn't it? Was it
Oh, so it was right before. It was right before Endgame, and it was right after Captain Marvel, right?
Captain? Yeah, it was jammed in between Captain Marvel and Endgame.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, and just thinking about it more, just looking at the success of Aquaman, this being a Christmassy movie, man, I'm thinking that Christmas time slot would have been great for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could have done more research before we started recording. I don't remember if this was originally supposed to be coming out around that time, but um, because I don't, I feel like this movie was actually pushed up at some point. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I can't
It's
remember
been a while,
either.
and everything kind of blends together at that era of movies
Yeah.
because we were right in the heart of the Marvel stuff at that point too. Um, but yeah, and you were joking about debating whether this is a Christmas movie or not. No, I don't think this is a Christmas movie. If But it takes place at Christmas. It was an excuse to talk about it on its 5 year anniversary, so I'm completely fine with talking about it. And I do enjoy watching this at Christmas time.
Yeah, I do too. And I will say that yes, I'm tongue in cheek. I'm saying debate. Do I think this is right up there with, you know, Jingle All the Way or anything like that? No. But it's it's very clearly it takes place at Christmas.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's more references to Christmas in this than there is in Die Hard.
That's
I mean,
interesting. I don't want to get into the Die Hard debate because maybe call me sacrilege. I don't consider Die Hard a Christmas movie.
see,
And
and that's what I'm saying because a lot of people do just because it takes place during Christmas
yeah,
time.
I think it's a dumb debate either way. My thing always was, and I actually had this conversation with Brendan the other day. Um, if I can watch it in March, it's not a Christmas movie. That's how I've always felt. I feel like Die Hard is an action movie. If I wanted to watch it in March, I wouldn't think twice about it. Home Alone, I'm not watching in March. You know, it's a Christmas movie. I only watch it at Christmas time. The Santa Claus, that kind of thing. Again, Shazam, completely fine. It comes out in April. I watch it in April. No big deal. I
Hey,
still think
you can watch Batman Returns in
I
any
don't
time of
consider
the year.
Batman
So
Returns a Christmas movie. I don't, you know.
you're crazy. Get out of here.
So again, it's whatever. The debate. If you want to watch something at Christmas, watch it at Christmas. What the heck do I care?
No,
Uh,
absolutely. I think the big kicker for me though is sometimes I forget how many Christmas elements are sprinkled through this
yes.
movie. Like when I put
It
it on
feels like
to
Christmas, like all around. Like they're doing the
yeah,
Christmas tree.
you open with oh gosh, what's the song? I'm blanking on the song. Um
Do you hear what I hear, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they're
Um,
driving with the Savannas.
yeah. And now have you ever watched the deleted scene or the alternate opening?
I probably have, but it's been so long.
I feel like the alternate opening is even more Christmassy. They're at like a Christmas party at this huge mansion of a house, and now it's been a while and I wanted to rewatch it and I completely forgot about it until just now. But they're at like a party and it's a Christmas party. And that's where all of the stuff happens with the wizard as opposed to being in the car. And then
Oh,
they
I
changed it.
that sounds familiar, but I'd have to go back because I
Yeah, I've been meaning to go back and watch it and I completely forgot. So yeah, there's definitely more Christmas stuff in it than I remember too. And I think that's why I do enjoy watching it at Christmas again. Whether it's a Christmas movie, whatever, but it's an excuse for me to watch this movie at Christmas time, and I'll take it.
I mean, a shopping mall Santa is a recurring character in this movie.
That might be my only negative of this movie is that damn Santa.
Oh, I love him. I love him.
At first, I
Uh,
thought like, oh, this is too much.
well, let's get into it. So just overall, it's been 5 years. 5 years later for Shazam. What do you think of this film, Joe? Just broad thoughts.
I still love this film. This is in my top tier of the DC films. I have this, geez, I have this pretty high. This was such a pleasant surprise when it came out. I still hold it as high as I did when it came out. Um, I didn't expect the heart that this movie had,
Yeah.
and that's why it has such high marks for me. Um, I still get choked up watching this. I mean, we can get into the details, as we go here, but this is probably out of all the DC movies, this one might make me tear up the most. In all seriousness, the whole family aspect, the family is so good. The parents, all the kids have great personalities and great stories. I There's just really a lot to love about this movie. And I think I was so worried when we started seeing the trailers, like, is this going to be really like beat you over the head humor and over the top, and it's not going to have that, heart that I was really hoping for, but it did. It had way more heart than I expected.
Yeah, yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, and you and I did our final DCEU rankings. What is that at the beginning of this year? I think after the
Yeah, I think we did it in
after
January.
yeah. So I'm just looking back at my list. I mean, it stays there. I mean, it's number five. It's in my top five. I was looking forward to this movie.
It's
I
my five too.
remember I remember going back and reading the Jeff Johns run on Shazam before the movie came out,
Hmm.
and I remember leaving the theater and they nailed what Jeff
Hmm.
Johns did with Shazam. And going into the trailers, I thought it looked fun, but I'm going to use the same word that you did. I did not expect the level of heart that this movie has, nor did I expect that it would touch like my family on a personal level
Hmm.
with because of the family dynamic that I have in my home. Fostering and adoption are such huge pieces of my life now, and I mean, it's given a spotlight in this movie that I didn't expect,
Hmm.
and I love that. And it just, it to this day, this movie warms my heart every time I watch it.
Yeah, it's weird because I, for whatever reason, have such a soft spot for any type of um adopted father figure or adopted family in general. And I don't have that personal connection to it. I mean, I have great relationships with both my parents. Maybe that's why I have such a sentimental value to it because I do appreciate what I have so much that anytime I see someone that's not as fortunate to have that and to find it in other ways, it does get to me on a personal level. Because I couldn't imagine having to go through what these characters go through, but to find a um what's the word? Not adoptive family, but like to find that other connection with a, you know, just with someone else that's going to take care of you and treat you as family. It's done really well, and I think it's believable. Just the banter between the father and Mary, and the like one of the first scenes when she's on the phone with the college and he's just joking like, "Tell me you're a foster kid. They eat that stuff up." Like it's such
Yeah,
a casual thing, but it seems so real.
for sure. Yeah. And there's the whole dynamic because we've talked several times before about the parents, especially the mothers in DC films, and usually how wonderful they are. And then we get Rachel Batson in this movie,
Yep.
and it's such a departure from what we know of DC moms. But then again, on the other hand, it's not because Billy finds his true family, and he finds his adoptive parents here who are wonderful, amazing people. And it
Yeah.
drives home the message that the people, I don't know, I would say that the people that you're born to are not necessarily always the perfect parents or guardians, but they're out there, you know? Now, luckily, I didn't live in that situation growing up, but there's so many people that did. So it's amazing that they get that representation in a movie like this. And I just know that like my wife's siblings who are not biological, this was a very special movie for them because I
Oh,
think
without
they
a
saw
doubt.
themselves in that.
Hmm.
So outside of the familiar parts of the movie, man, this is such fun. We did talk about the humor, but man, I still think the humor in this movie is elevated above the second one. Like I think this is more natural, more
Hmm.
organic, and like the scenes of Freddy and Shazam, Billy, trying to figure out what Shazam's powers are. I love it. I love them discovering the lightning hands
Yeah.
and the tests that Freddy tries to put Billy through to
The
figure out
fire
these
test.
powers. Yeah, the fire test and one of my favorites is when they when Freddy has him test invisibility.
Yes.
I love that sequence when he makes him think he's invisible. And but you and I were talking about the suit earlier, so let's go into that a little bit. I remember seeing the footage in the trailers and things like that, and I thought the suit looked great. You cannot get past that. It's you and I were just talking about the Hoagland suit last episode.
Yeah.
It's a little puffy.
Yeah. It never bothered me though. I don't know like what it is. I guess because I think the suit looks so good, it never rubbed me the wrong way at how padded this was because I mean, they're all padded to some degree to just make the definition look better.
Hmm.
They're like, I mean, even the Cavill suit has some padding in it. It's not overly padded. It's just to define, the lines a little bit better. Um, but yeah, I guess because Shazam is such a huge character in the comics, they wanted to make him basically larger than life, and they felt like they needed to beef him up a little bit. But it's not as padded in the second one. The second one definitely looks better.
Yeah, the second one they streamlined it
Yeah.
quite a bit.
And I don't know, maybe, I mean, was it a budgetary thing with the first one? I don't know. I don't know if that was just kind of what they ended up with and they had to roll with it. Could it have been because of the light in the center of the suit? I don't know what the reasons are.
So it's funny you brought that up because they went with a different route with the suits in the second movie. A lot of it was trial and error on the first, and of course, with David Sandberg coming out of a horror realm and having those sensibilities, the budget on the first movie wasn't like your natural
Hmm.
superhero movie budget. I don't know if you've heard this or not. It was not Levi, but one of the actors that plays the other one of the other kids, the
Hmm.
grown up, the superhero version later in
Yeah.
the movie, they got burned by the lights that they had in the
I did not
chest.
know that. Wow.
Yeah. So part of the reason for the revamp in the second movie was because they had to figure out how not to
Oh
injure their
man.
actors.
Did not know that. Never heard that before.
Yeah. So yeah, budget was a thing here, but talking about David Sandberg, man, the horror elements when they're here in the
Yeah.
movie, they're pretty intense. Like the boardroom scene
The
where he
boardroom scene
kills,
especially. Yeah.
yeah, where he kills his brother and his father. Holy cow. And shout out to, of course, John Glover, who is DC royalty.
So the boardroom scene is funny because it's one of the this is one of those movies that like I feel like I could watch with my daughter, except a few scenes. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh man, like that's so scary. Like, and I for a low budget, I know a lot of people like to crap on CG a lot, and I definitely have been guilty of it. I've always felt like the monsters in this are pretty serviceable. For the budget they had, I
Oh
never
yeah.
really had any issue with how they looked.
The only thing I'll say, my biggest nitpick with the Seven Deadly Sins, I think they're rendered well. They're just very blah with their
Yeah, they're
colors.
very vanilla. Like they're
Yeah,
not. Yeah, they're not. He definitely had more fun with his designs in the sequel because they had a little bit of a bigger budget with like all the
yeah.
the other stuff going on in that one. With this one, it seemed like they didn't have personalities, which is weird for the Seven Deadly Sins. They were just kind of all lumpy monsters.
Which does make it kind of interesting when Shazam is trying to use their personalities in the end, like when he draws envy out
Yes.
of Savannah. It's like okay, this is the first time we've really had that be touched on,
Yeah.
that they have these distinct, because otherwise in the movie they're not that distinct.
Hmm. They're so not distinct that I didn't realize Envy was not there. Like it didn't even like at the time I was like, wait, where's he going with this? I was confused.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but Jaimon Hansu as the wizard, I think was a fantastic choice as well.
Hmm.
And he
Gets
got
much more to do in the sequel.
I was about to say he gets a
Yeah,
lot
sorry.
more to do in Shazam: Fury of the Gods, for better or worse, because that one did not get a good reception. Um, but yeah, I top to bottom, I think this is a really good cast. I think Levi did a lot of good things with what he was asked to do here. I do think he portrays Asher Angel and Billy a lot better in this one than he does the second one.
Hmm.
I think there's a little bit of a separation in the second one. But here, he's great. I love the kids. Jack Dylan Glazer, or excuse me, Grazer is a standout in this movie. His wit is just fantastic. But yeah, oh, go ahead.
No, it's funny because you assume that Billy would be the biggest casting, but in this case, because when he's the superhero, it's Zachary Levi, the more important casting here was Freddy. Because Freddy's
For
the one
sure.
that's on screen more, but I also don't want to take away from Asher Angel because the best scene of the movie is him confronting his mother. And
Hmm.
he pulls off that scene wonderfully. So it does seem like sometimes Asher Angel gets overlooked because of how good Jack Dylan Grazer is.
Yes.
Um, but I also want to make sure we give credit to Asher Angel because he acts his ass off in that scene, and that is the heart of this movie. If that scene doesn't work, if you don't feel for him as a kid, other than, him being a superhero, if you don't feel for him as a character and see why he's doing what he's doing and see that arc of him accepting his new family, then it doesn't work.
Hmm. Yeah, and it really provides the ultimate payoff in the end when Shazam is able to share the powers of the
Yes.
wizard with the rest of this family, which I can't remember. Was that given away? Did we know that was coming?
I did not. I want to say, were there figures that were spoiled for people? I didn't know about it though. I know I went in without knowing that. But I want to say Andy had told us in the past, or maybe he said it on Holy Badcast that, and I could be wrong, but I thought someone got spoiled on it because of toys or Funkos, maybe. I don't remember.
That could be.
Like maybe the
I
Funkos leaked. They weren't released, but maybe the pictures leaked or something.
I mean, obviously, knowing the story from the comics, I knew there was a potential for it.
Yes, I didn't expect it because I was expecting, okay, maybe that'll be in the future films.
Yeah, that's the same. I thought maybe that's something they'll save for the sequel, but it's a great moment at the end of the film
Yeah.
when all of them are given the powers and they fight as a family. And then you get the great payoff at the end where there's this thing where the family puts their hands in before eating a meal,
Yeah.
and Billy doesn't do it early on, and at the end he's part of this. He's fully into this family dynamic, and he's the one that initiates the hands in. I really love that. That's a great moment. Um, but what about Savannah? What did you think of Mark Strong's performance in this movie as the villain?
I love him as the villain. I mean, Mark Strong, the poor guy is between it's a shame he didn't get to play uh you know an evil Sinestro in Green Lantern. He got to play the villain here though, and I think he does a great job. I mean, this is not a General Zod um level villain. It's
No.
he's not reaching those levels, but I think for the story being told, he's perfectly fine. I'm
Mhm.
not going to say he's a top tier DC villain or anything like that, but I think you could tell Strong is having fun with it, but he's also playing it straight and he's doing a serviceable job. He's fine. One of my favorite lines in the movie, and it's such a, kind of a throwaway, but he's like, "What a lovely home," and then he's like, "Now what a shithole," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you could tell he's still trying to have fun with it too. Um, but he is scary. I mean, he is menacing, and that he's supposed to be. But again, I don't think I'm not gonna try to oversell it and say like he's the best villain in the world either.
I really appreciate what Mark Strong does with playing it straight in the silliest of moments.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of this insanity of a shopping mall at Christmas, he and Shazam are having this fight throughout these department stores in the mall,
Hmm.
and Shazam throws a freaking toy Batman at him,
Yeah.
and they do the piano keys from
Yeah.
Big, and he's not cracking. He's straight the entire
Hmm.
time. And then right at the end of the movie, we have this he's trying to give this super villain monologue as he and Shazam are floating above the city. And
That's
Shazam
one
just
of the best.
I love that moment where Shazam is like, what are you saying? Are you
Yeah.
monologuing?" Yeah.
For for all the superhero tropes, and this movie does have so much fun being a superhero movie. I don't know what it is about that part that just having the humor there and calling out a total superhero trope, it just works so well in this movie. And you're right, like Savannah, Mark Strong as Savannah just keeps going and he's playing it off cool. Like they must have just told him do the monologue and then not tell him like we're gonna go over it and do something because he's doing it so perfectly. But yeah, it's such a fun place or such a fun thing. And the movie, it does a good job of balancing the humor and the heart and the seriousness because that never like that scene right there, it's not an overly serious scene that they chose to put that in. When the movie
Mhm.
is being serious, it's being serious. They're
Yeah.
not. I don't want to jump the gun here, and but I'm trying to. I want to be the one to bring it up. I'm going to steal it from you. But my favorite shot in maybe all of the DCU is Shazam jumping off the roof and saying Shazam, and
Oh,
that
when
that
Billy flies
transition,
off the roof. Yeah.
the whole sequence with the mother is beautiful. But to be capped off with one of the best hero shots in the DCU period, I'm sorry, like I love so many shots of the DCU, but that shot, and we got it in the trailer. But to know that that's what caps off Billy accepting he's got to be a hero,
Hmm.
I just love everything about that entire scene, and I love the way it's capped off. That is such a beautiful shot in so many ways, not just visually, but it's just perfect. I love that shot.
And a hell of a physical performance from Asher Angel because that jump looks perfect.
Yeah, so the transition is perfect
Yeah, and to your previous point, I mean, where he's going in that moment
to
is
save his
one of the
family.
is that moment where they just they balance that tone very well because when he gets there, because Savannah has figured out who he is and
Hmm.
is now threatening his family, the joking is over at that point
Yeah, and
because he's scared he's going to lose his family, and Savannah's not playing around in that
yeah,
moment.
it works perfectly too because like when he's on the phone or when he's talking to his mom, he says, "I'm okay. I'm gonna go be with my real family now." He actually makes the decision consciously before he even knows they're in peril. So
Hmm.
he's made that choice internally to then get the call from Freddie, and he answers right away. And I think he actually says, "Freddie, I'm sorry." And it's Savannah on the phone, and that's when he's like, "Oh, I have to go now." Shit gets real, and he's got to go be the hero to save his family because that's what a hero does. And I
Exactly.
I love everything about that. I would not change anything about any of those scenes. They're so perfect, and I think I don't even mean this to take away from the rest of the movie, but I think that chunk of movie is so perfect that I think it makes me easily forgive any flaws that this movie has going forward because I fell in love with this movie at that moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that mom moment, man, as just it
Oh,
sticks with you.
it's a gut punch. And so I I had kids when we watched this originally. I mean, my daughter is 7 now, and I think that's why it hurts so much is because I'm looking at this movie and I'm like, oh, how do you how do you give away your child, number one, and then they come back after 10 years, whatever it was, and it's like now's not a good time. It's like what? Like I it hurts. Like I literally watched that last night. My daughter was sitting next to me, not paying attention to the movie at all. She's on her pad doing her thing. And I'm in tears like an idiot. My daughter doesn't even realize I'm crying. And I'm like a blubbering idiot, like a, typical, dads aren't supposed to cry in front of their kids. I couldn't help it. And luckily my daughter never noticed. She didn't even look at me. Like, I'm like, I wanted to turn to her and be like, this is why I'm crying. It's because of you. But, you know, they I think that's what's so great about it is though like when you're sitting there and you're with like the innocence of a child who does not care what you're going through at all at any moment of the day. They just do their thing and they're happy and they're whatever. But it's surreal when you get to watch a scene like that with, with her and, my I got two kids now, and I couldn't even imagine. I could not imagine what goes through someone's head. And listen, I understand like the whole like, okay, you're young and you want to put the kid up for adoption. That's different. The way it's done in this movie is so cruel. It's it's not just a straight, I'm not ready to have a child. That's a different thing. And it's not even that she felt like she was doing the right thing because it probably was the best thing for Billy. It's the interaction that they have when he comes back is what's painful
Yeah.
because Billy doesn't understand until
Well,
that moment.
because A, you're fully admitting that you knew he was missing. You knew he was
Yes.
gone. You saw him. And B, you're telling him now's not a good time.
Well, because she never gave
Which,
him the closure of be happy. Go be happy
mm,
with someone else. And it's set up early in the movie where the foster the not the foster home, but the person that's in charge of placing Billy with the foster homes. I don't know what that's called. The woman that does that though, she basically tells him you're wasting your life trying to find someone that clearly is not trying to find you.
yeah,
Like almost saying to him like, have you ever asked yourself why you can't find her? Like there's a reason. She doesn't want you to find her. She's not looking for you. But
yeah.
as a child, you don't want to accept that. You want to find your mom, and they do such a great job with that, setting it up early and going through the whole story that way. It's just it's hard to spend so much time on that because there's obviously more to the movie, but that is the core of the movie for me. It's
No,
everything,
absolutely it is.
and the family is so good that it makes you like it makes you want to tell Billy, like, what is wrong with you? Look how awesome that family is. Go live with that family. They're perfect. Like, they're so much fun. The father and the mother steal this movie for me. Um, they're so good. I mean, obviously the performances from Billy and from Freddie are front and center, but the parents are so good in this.
They are, but I think that's the journey here is Billy discovering what's right in front of his face
Yeah.
the entire movie. And I love that we get there in the end and it's done so well and that he has to become he has to become this hero that he's lucked into, and then he realizes that he needs the rest of his family to do this
Yeah.
and to do it.
What's the last line of the movie? I'm home.
I'm home.
Like
Yeah.
it's such a
Well, technically the last line is something about the seven realms will soon be ours.
oh yeah, in the post credits, and I don't count that.
You
Well, technically,
shouldn't
the post
because
credit is there wording in the end where the guy is the Aquaman scene? Is there
oh
words in
yeah.
that? Yeah,
Yeah, I think
there's
so.
there's a post credit scene too. But no, the actual film, like I just think the way it ends is perfect. And oh no, I'm sorry, that's not the ending. Then it goes to the Superman scene. That's the ending. Duh.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
So,
should we should touch on that, I guess.
yeah, let's touch on it because at the time, I mean, I thought it was just a funny little smash cut at the end, but it became a thing with Superman and supposed Henry Cavill contract disputes and
Yeah.
him not showing up and blah 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 blah. So then it became part of fun for I don't it became way more than it should have, in my
It
opinion.
became a reason to hate this movie for people, which is so absurd to me. People called it a slap in the face and this and that, where my thing always was if we didn't know what was happening behind the scenes, it is a perfect ending to the movie.
Yeah,
It, I, as much as I would have loved to have been Henry Cavill, the way they frame it this way makes you focus on Freddy's face, and it's hysterical.
yeah, yeah.
And I never had an issue with it. In
I
my
think
mind, it's Henry Cavill. So I'm
well,
rather
in my mind is Superman.
yeah,
At the
it
end of the
doesn't
day,
even
what does it
matter.
matter?
You're right.
So, but and I think you're right though. The point is the point of the scene. It's a comical scene at the end of the movie, and the point is the reaction from Jack Dylan Grazer because man, he nails it.
And I think it's a clever way to have the scene when you can't get Henry Cavill. Like I'm glad they didn't say, "Oh, let's not do it because we have Cavill." I would have been disappointed. I think it's a perfect way to end it. Could you imagine if they just decided not to do it?
And think about it this way, since Shazam and Black Adam are integral characters to each other, I would argue that with the way that everything wrapped up with this universe,
Yeah.
that scene is more impactful than the Superman cameo at the end
The
of Black
irony.
Adam.
Yeah, the irony. I still love that scene though. But yeah, it's that one's a little more depressing now. Um,
Yeah.
you're right. I love it. I still love it the way it is. I don't need Henry Cavill to be in this. I think it works perfectly fine without him.
Yeah.
Um, it might have even taken away from it.
It could have.
You don't
Yeah.
know. I think it was a really clever way of doing it. And they wanted him. They weren't trying to not get him.
Now, I need to know, before we wrap this up, Joe, I need to know why you dislike Philadelphia's only mall Santa Claus.
It was it was a little over the top the first time I saw it. When like he just kept yelling. I didn't know what was going on. Other than that, I don't care now. I think it's kind of funny now. But it was just like it's clearly one of those things where Sandberg was like finding it so funny to have this Santa flipping out, and it was probably like something that I don't know whether it was an inside joke on set, but like they were cracking up doing this. And that's part of why I think it's hysterical is like how much fun they had doing it. But I don't know, for whatever reason, it was just too much when I first saw it.
I just think it's hilarious that apparently this entire city has one person that acts as Santa Claus because
That's true.
he's everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of
but
which,
I,
the whole Santa village thing that the fair is so awesome. Like we never have like Christmas fairs. We only have fairs in the summer. Like I've never had like a Christmas fair around here. You got to go to like a theme park for that.
well, and I noticed it really gave me vibes of this movie when I was in New York for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade this
Hmm.
year, because there was a little, and I can't remember the name of the
Well, it's probably
park.
Bryant Park.
Bryant Park, yes.
Yeah.
So we went to Bryant Park, and I was thinking, man, this reminds me of
Yeah.
Shazam. This reminds
Yep.
me of the North Pole Village in Shazam. But yeah,
Except
that's the
except 1,000 more people and you can't walk and it's not as fun.
very true. Yes.
New York is
Um,
only fun when you're not there and you're watching it on TV. I'm sorry. I live very close to New York.
you're not wrong. In 40 years, when Andy decides to cover this year's parade on the show, I'll give my feedback.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that Christmas Village, and that's another piece of it of this movie that just makes it so fun to watch at Christmas time. But the biggest overarching theme is the feeling of family, and during this time of year, that just is another piece of the puzzle for that
Mhm.
heartwarming, I'm gonna say it, Christmas themed
Yeah.
movie. Because the fact that it's a superhero movie that you can watch any time of the year is awesome, but the fact that it is so meaningful and heartfelt and also set at Christmas
Yeah.
makes me want to watch it this time of year every year.
No, I agree. It's usually one of the ones that I watch to kick off the season because it's not so Christmassy. It's kind of like, all right, I'm not like fully in Christmas spirit yet.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
watch it early on. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the latest I've watched it since it came out
Same. Yeah, I
in a year.
usually kick off the season with like this or Batman Returns or Iron Man
Yeah.
3, which Iron Man 3 is not very Christmassy at all, but it still takes place at Christmas. There's some Christmas elements in it. But like, yeah, it's the same type of thing. I like my superhero Christmas movies early on in the year or
Yep.
early on in the season.
Agreed. Well, anything that you absolutely want to bring up before we wrap it up on Shazam?
No, I was trying to find out. So I watched while we were talking, I had on the deleted scene in the background. John Glover is not Savannah's father in the deleted scene. So he must have been recast. Um, and then they refilmed it. I don't, I recognize the man playing the father, but I can't tell you his name. But he looks very familiar, and I looked it up and I can't find it anywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I don't remember it not being John Glover, but this actor looks so familiar to me, and I cannot figure out who he is. And it's gonna drive me nuts. I tried looking it up, but couldn't figure it out. Um, so I would have to look more into that to see what the deal is with that. But yeah, I mean, the whole intro is completely different. Um, but
Hmm.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, the Mr. Mind tease that kind of went nowhere. I remember they said that the original goal was to even include Mr. Mind in the sequel and have him tie into the Furies or whoever, the villains there, but it was just too much. They didn't want to do it just to do it. I mean, do you want to talk about how there's no mention of Black Adam other than the one scene? The
Yeah,
little.
talking about it. You know, such a missed opportunity, and that's all I can really.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
lot there, obviously, and it's a shame we never got. How we get two Shazam movies and a Black Adam movie and they never meet is crazy.
much less because this is a $7 production. I mean,
Yeah,
this is produced by The Rock's production company,
yeah.
and
There's so much drama behind the scenes with that, where The Rock felt like he was too big to go against Shazam. He had to go right to Superman. He wouldn't. There's a lot there, and I'm
and
not going to
suppose
pretend like I understand all of it.
wasn't there speculation that he was on set at some point and shot something for this, and then it didn't happen, or I can't
Oh,
remember.
that I don't know. There was drama of what was the deal in Shazam 2. The post-credit scene was supposed to be Hawkman and
Yeah.
uh not Adam. Um not Adam Smasher. I want the Cyclone, right? Cyclone? Is that the girl?
Cyclone.
It was supposed to be like the two of them recruiting Shazam and he squashed it. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That was the rumor. There's a lot of hearsay with this stuff and that please there's so much drama behind the DCU over the years that we're kind of numb and used to it at this point. But
DCEU.
yeah. Um
DCEU. Which it goes to show you again, missed opportunity is the key phrase
yeah.
for that universe.
But I
But
will say watching this anytime I watch one of these movies, it makes me want to watch more of them. Like I
yeah,
still have such a soft spot for the DCU, and I know I'm definitely bigger on the sequel than you are. I still really like the sequel. And I haven't watched it in a while. I'm due for a rewatch of that. And I usually when I catch up on like these movies is like January or like right after Christmas. I'll go back and watch a lot of, you know, non-genre movies or not, non-Halloween, non-Christmas movies because I've been, just watching
neglecting them
that.
for 3 months.
Yeah. So I like going into my superhero rewatches in
Yeah.
in January.
Yeah, but I mean, bottom line, this is a movie that I still absolutely adore, and I watch it every year close to Christmas. And sometimes I get that hankering in the middle of the year to watch it. So
Yeah,
every once in a while, I'll circle back to it then. But Christmas movie or not, it feels very appropriate for the season.
definitely.
Um,
You can't
and I'm
argue it's not a family movie. It is
for sure.
100% a family movie.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's a good place to wrap it up, Joe. So thank you so much for joining me. I can't thank you enough during this time of year for carving out time for us and for the show. Knowing that you yourself, just like me and everybody else, we have families. So I wish you nothing but the best for the holiday season. Thank you again, and let everybody know where they can find you out there.
Well, thank you. And you do the same. Enjoy your Christmas, enjoy some time off, hopefully, and we'll meet back here in the new year, it seems probably. Yeah, you guys can find me and thank you as always for listening. Again, the end of the year, I want to thank everybody and still humbled to even be continuing this podcast and have people to interact with and stuff. It's been a lot of fun. Um, if you guys want to, talk to me on the internet, I'm at J411 on X, Instagram, and Letterboxd, and on what am I? And then on I'm sorry. Yeah, J411 on that. And then Facebook as Joe Fornerato, Fornarotto. Threw myself for a loop there. Went in a different order and forgot how to get back.
No problem. As for myself, you can find my personal accounts on Instagram, X, and Threads. That's me Carter 89, me Carter 89. The show can be found on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads at tfrbatpod. Again, if you want to send us some messages, we do read those on the show. You can shoot us emails. That's tfrbatpod at gmail.com. If you're looking for a way to support the show, the best and easiest way to do that is to leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you listen to us on. If you do leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts, we will read those on the show. If you're looking for another way to support the show, we don't ask that you spend a dime on this show, but if you'd like to, you can go to redbubble.com, search Shop TFR, all one word, and find our logos on all kinds of cool merch there. Our theme song was created by the very talented Gaurav Venkateswar, and his music can be found at gvtunes.com. Don't forget to go check out the link in the description. Use our promo codes, save yourself some money, and support us as you do so while shopping at Organic Price Books. But for myself and Joe, that's going to do it for this year. So we hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. Hold your families tight, love them, and keep that bat signal lit and pointed skyward. Batman was created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane and is the sole property of Warner Brothers Discovery. The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast, is in no way associated with DC Comics, DC Studios, or Warner Brothers Discovery. The thoughts and opinions of the participants of this show are their own and do not reflect the companies that they work for. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.